How do you think Colin Kaepernick will be remembered? I remember having this conversation in 2017, and I said I believe in 20, 30 years he will be looked at as one of these mythical human beings. I say what you have to understand. I say we look at Rosa Parks, Miss Parks. We look at Muhammad Ali. We look at some of those guys in today's terms. But let's remember when they were doing what they doing, they weren't thought of like they were thought of now then. And I believe it's going to be the same thing for Colin Kaepernick.
No doubt. Yeah. And probably not even that long. Look at the difference between 4 years ago and now.
True.
He's already been seen as, even Roger Goodell said, I'm sorry we didn't listen to him. You didn't think 4 years later, Roger Goodell would be forced to say, we did not listen to him and I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And even though they may never be able to get their individual thing together, I mean, between Colin and the league, he's already been validated. He's already been affirmed. He's already been, seriously seen as the person doing the right thing. And again, for all these white people, don't be violent. What was violent about putting your knee on the ground? Because Nate Boyer, a veteran, told you, Colin Kaepernick, hey, don't take a seat. That's disrespectful. Why don't you sit down? Now, if Colin Kaepernick wasn't respectful, you know what he would have said? Later for you, homie. I'm going to do it the way I want. What did he say? Right. I don't want to disrespect you. Let me do that. That showed you the man's heart. Right. That showed you the man was willing to do the right thing. He didn't want to disrespect it. He didn't want to distort his message. So he got on his knee as the veteran, the white veteran suggested, and still wasn't good enough. Because you know why? It's never good enough. You can never please the people you are trying to get off their plantation. You can't get a scholarship to Freedom School on Pharaoh's scholarship. Pharaoh ain't gonna give no scholarship for you to go to Freedom School. It ain't gonna happen, homie. And so I think he will be respected as Ali kind of figure in the sense of he gave up everything to be able to make his argument. I think he's one of the greatest athletic performers to do that. But let me tell you about why LeBron to me is even more effective. Because you see, when you can't deny the talent, if you thought, we're going to pull LeBron off if he's doing stuff. If that was Tom Brady as a black person, let me see, if that was Patrick Mahomes taking a knee, tell me you think that man would have been out of that league.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So part of it had to do with the talent level, right? We know Colin Kaepernick at his height. I was at that game in New Orleans where Beyonce turned the power off because she was so hot. I mean,
she was unbelievable.
Doing her things. Jay, I didn't mean hot like I meant, singing.
Yeah, we get
so I was there where he was one catch away from friggin' being a Super Bowl champion. I was right there. That's where Baltimore won, didn't he?
Baltimore won, yeah. We hosted that Super Bowl. I was with CBS at the time. Absolutely, yes.
Right. So he was great, and at his height, he would have been undenied. But when he was declining a little bit, that just shows you LeBron is using his athletic genius. And part of the reason he's able to stay on court, well, it's a different sport, but he's at his height still. He's still doing great things. And when you do great things, you can leverage that to your benefit. So I think nobody is going to be like LeBron, but I think what Colin Kaepernick is doing is remarkable. It is historic. It will be legendary, and rightfully so, because he gave up his career to do what he's got to do. And yet the Lord has blessed him because he done caught on to another career that's going to last much longer than your football career would have lasted as a social activist. So you've been in for evil, they said about Joseph with his coat of many colors. My brothers put me in a pit, but God raised me up and put me in a palace. So he went from a pit to a palace, and he's able to extend his career and tell the truth about social injustice, I think, well into his 40s and 50s and 60s, should he decide to do so.
Yeah, I think Cap ability has slipped just enough for them to use that against him because they didn't want to hear what he was saying. As you mentioned, that's LeBron James. That's any of these prominent NBA players taking that knee. They're not going to be white ball. I use the term white ball because the negative connotation that comes along with seems like everything that's bad is black. Black market, Black Monday, black, everything that's negative, black magic, black sheep. So I said use the term white ball because it was those 32, even though Commissioner Goodell issued apology and say we should have listened. He works at the behest of the owners.
No doubt about it.
He's taking that. He's getting $40-50 million a year to take those arrows that everybody's throwing. He gets to stand up, everybody boos while they applaud the owners that's cashing $300 million checks every year. So that's what he's getting paid for.
There's no question about it. The only good thing, I guess, would be Ken Chenault when he named it the Black Card. So the highest American Express is the Black Card. So we appreciate
You got
that.
one, don't you, Doc? You got one. You got one, Doc. I know it.
Wait, check this out. Mine was green last night, but I painted that thing because I know I was going to be talking to you. So I said, I might have a black card by hook or crook, baby. I put some shoe polish on that. And I know you got about
that might be the only, because that's the highest credit card that you could possibly get is a black card.
Come on, bro.
You know what? That might be the only good thing.
A black man running American Express is the one who did it. Look at the subliminal effect of that, bro.
Yes. I actually, I know Ken Chenault. Now, I may or may not have a black card. That's neither here nor there. We hear our white counterparts say, okay, as long as you're peaceful protesting, that's fine. Well, Dr. King peacefully protests. He still had water cannons turned on him. He still had dogs unleashed on him. He still got sit upside his head. And then when blacks started rioting about what happened in Harlem and what happened in Detroit and what happened in LA, well, we won't hear you because you're destroying. So what is it that we can do to get your attention to help us advance, to give us equality, to see that we get justice when we've been wrong?
That's what we can do. Just kill ourselves. Just go away. Because the point is, they don't want us. They don't want to deal with us. They want to grapple with us. I'm not talking about all white brothers and sisters. I'm talking about the ones with power. I'm tired of white people saying, well, it ain't all of us. It's enough for you to make our lives miserable, though. It's enough for you who are in positions of power. The ones who love us don't seem to ever be the cops. The ones who love us don't ever seem to be the president, in many instances, or the constable, or the senator. I mean, the ones who seem to have a problem with us always seem to have the power. And the ones who seem to love us don't. So the reality is that when we talk about this country and making an argument about, oh my God, if you people would protest in the right way. Note to white brothers and sisters, if the protest is making you nervous, it is effective. If you're trying to tell us how to protest, that's not an effective protest, right? Colin Kaepernick got on your nerves, and he was effective because he got your attention, because he bowed down and he talked about something that was critical to him, and y'all got upset. They treated Colin Kaepernick worse than they treated dudes who had been accused of rape and came back in the league. Or violence in the league, or killed somebody in the league. I mean, it's amazing. And many of those white GMs really felt that he was one of the most horrible people in the NFL. This is the consequence of white blindness, white privilege, not seeing color. And so when you say, oh, if y'all would be less violent, like you said, Dr. King wasn't violent at all. He taught people how to take the nastiness that
take the blows. He taught people how to take the blows. Think about this, Doc. Normally, we have what we call self-preservation. If somebody is hitting on you, I'm going to try and fight you back. I'm trying to get you off me by any means necessary. So if I'm close to a brick, I'm going to pick that brick up and I'm going to try to stop you from hitting me upside my head. I'm going to try to get you to turn that water cannon off. I'm going to try to get that dog to unleash me. I'm going to do that. But that's not what he taught those guys. That's not what they did.
No, you're absolutely right. He taught them discipline, moral and ethical self-regard, restraint. They practice. White people would come and call them N-words and all that and unleashed dogs. And they were practicing so that when they really felt it, just like y'all, when you were out there, Hall of Famer, out there y'all were on the practice squad out here doing your thing. And every day on the gridiron, two-a-days. They were running two-a-days, suicide drills, basically, to try to be able to deal with white folk who would come at them. So where is this notion that if you do it the right way, it will be accepted? The white ministers of Birmingham, Alabama, one rabbi and 7, I think, Protestant ministers, wrote a letter to King. You're going too fast. You're asking for too much. Don't come into our neighborhood. This is non-violent. So that proves your point. The letter to Birmingham jail was written from King in response to 8 clergymen 7 or 8 clergymen who were upset with the nonviolent protests of the black folk in Birmingham. So man, no matter what you do, they're going to be upset. They're going to write letters. They're going to say it ain't the right way. And the bottom line is that often white brothers and sisters didn't do anything about our suffering until there was looting and violence. That's the tragedy. And that's not on the backs of those who were so upset that they did that. That's on the backs who claim to be American, who claim to be citizens of conscience, but who can't hear black people unless a building is burning. And then you try to pathologize them and say that they are ridiculous and that they have no morals. And yet every day you are sustaining a culture that disregards their humanity and that provokes them ultimately to engage in sometimes rather desperate activities.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button to become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we always do something for two something.